I sing sha na 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 doobity ba 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 choobity ba na 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 doobity ba yeah skiddly ba 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 doobity ba 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 doobity sha na 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 doobity ba yeah It's Breakfast with Bob. Cheers!
Macho Man, I love it. We are brought to you by HOKA One Polar Halo Neuroscience Velofix. Today's planned Normatec 4 Seasons Resort Hualalai Triathlete Magazine, and we're at beautiful Huggo's on the Rocks. Our next guest making his first appearance at the Ironman World Championship after many years as a triathlete, now para-triathlete, Mr. Glenn Hartrick.
How you doing, Bob?
The Double N fans are out in force.
It's fantastic.
It is fantastic. So, take me back to when you first got into all this crazy endurance stuff. Was that something right out of high school, college, what?
No, it was kind of after college. I graduated and I wanted the next challenge in my life and figured, let me try a marathon. And the marathon led into triathlon and the crazy sport of multisport.
What was the first Ironman?
Ironman, Wisconsin, back in 2009.
Time?
13 hours and 48 minutes.
But you loved it.
I didn't love it the day of or the next days of, but I was hooked and I loved it from the very beginning.
So there was a point there where you're on the cover of Runner's World magazine, and you're like, okay, everything is pretty sweet here. That was pretty cool.
That was amazing. I was pretty thrilled with that, happy.
Yeah. But meanwhile, you're becoming a better and better Ironman guy. And talk a little bit about how important the Ironman was in your life at that point.
Well, I mean, it was important. I mean, it's a lifestyle that obviously, 2,000 plus of us love that are out here, ready to race on Saturday. But it's the community. It's the group of friends and family members that are out racing with us, training with us, pushing us, helping us really set goals and living the Ironman mantra that anything is possible. And it kind of comes full circle for me. We'll talk about, but
yes.
It's really important because a lot of things in life, you don't get instant feedback kind of on the effort you put in. And triathlon, multisport, the harder you work, the better you get. And it's a really rewarding thing for me, just life in general, and then just living the whole healthy lifestyle. And then most importantly, the friends that I've met through the sport.
So your Ironman PR is?
Well, which one?
The pre?
It was a 9:48 at
9:48's the real, yeah, that's what we're talking about. 9:48. So you're the real deal.
Yeah.
Sub 10 hours, right?
Yep.
Does it 9 and change? That's what I always say. 9 and change. Yes.
Yep.
Even if it's 9:50, 9:59, 9 and change.
Of course.
Exactly. A lot of change, but no big deal. So we're talking 4 years ago in June.
Yeah.
You're out for training ride.
Yep.
Car makes a U-turn in front of you.
Yeah.
And you pile drive into it.
Right into it. Right through the windshield and the driver's side window. Instantly paralyzed from the chest down.
And it's paralyzed from the chest down. And at that point, had you known folks and spent time with people who were in chairs?
No, not at all. None.
Totally new world.
Totally new world. I mean, it's a thing where you're all of a sudden you're living your life, and then life changes in an instant. And obviously, it turned my life upside down, and my family and friends as well.
You said something to me when we were chatting a while ago on the radio show that you figured out pretty quickly that you were the barometer for the family, right? If you were in good spirits and you were moving on with your life, then they could move on with their life.
Right.
But if you weren't, they were as paralyzed as you were.
For sure.
And so you had to put on that brave front, but you also had people that you could confide in when things were hard.
Right.
Who were you confiding in?
I mean, it was my partner Wayne and a lot of my family and friends that were, there from day one. I mean, there was a line of people outside of my hospital room, there every single day. It was the multi-sport community that was there to help do anything that they possibly could at any second. That were there in training days, that were there, in the hospital and recovery. And, there's been so many important people in my life that have come, in and out throughout my recovery. That hopefully, this will be a giant step in that recovery process, is crossing the finish line. But, it's been a long process. And, I'm so thankful that I don't have to ask for anything from anybody. There's so many people volunteering and willing to show up, go for a race, a ride, a run, help, doctor visits, whatever it may be. And that's been the most important thing for me, is just how amazing people can be and people are.
You're one of those guys who, my life is detour. It took a detour. One door shut, another door opened up. And imagine this, you're in the hospital, you're paralyzed, and you're a Strava guy, right? So this guy is grabbing a chair from the hallway at the hospital, putting getting on Strava and going into the parking lot and setting course records on a regular chair.
Regular chair, yeah.
In the parking lot of the hospital.
Yep.
That's when we knew you were back.
That's partly when I knew when I was back, absolutely. And I asked them, and I said, can I take this chair out? And they said, well, the chair's for outpatients. And I was an inpatient at the time. And then I said, I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't really work for me. Like, I want to push it. And I knew that, and actually, if I rewind a minute, when I was in the hospital, but I had time to think about in recovery. And that's when I found the Challenged Athletes Foundation. And then I drew the parallel between this chair that's sitting over here and stuff that I've seen folks in the Challenged Athletes Foundation and people that are out here that have done Ironman Kona in this same similar chair. And I knew that, if I get back, I knew I needed to build up strength to be able to push myself around in a wheelchair, that's when I could be back for sure.
And then not that long afterwards, I saw a video of your first hand cycle ride. I think there was snow on the ground.
There was. There was snow. So, my accident was in June. I applied for a grant with CAF in October when I was still at the hospital. And March, I got my first hand cycle thanks to the Challenged Athletes Foundation. And as soon as my friends knew I was getting it, and everybody knew I was getting it, people were lined up to go to Liberty State Park in New Jersey where I live. And snow was piled up on the ground, like 3 feet high, and you see the video, and we're flying by, and there's nobody out on the road because it's 30 degrees, and there's snow on the ground. So it was safe at the point, and, we got about 7 miles in, and it was some of the hardest 7 miles of my life, but it was some of the most rewarding 7 miles of my life at the same time.
And then we started chatting.
We did.
Because Glenn calls up and goes, okay, who is the person who came back from being an able-bodied guy and finishing Ironman the fastest to do an Ironman again? Like, how quickly did somebody come back, and I want to be that guy?
That's it, yeah.
And we checked around, and we knew Mark Harriman's came back the following year after he was injured. He finished 6th overall here, was injured, and came back to finish the swim.
Right.
But it took him a few years to finish the full.
Yeah.
And then Ironman Florida for you this last year.
Just last November, yeah.
Last
almost
November.
a year ago.
Was your maiden voyage.
That was it, absolutely.
How was that?
It was amazing. I mean, it was just like I was racing again. I mean, I'm just doing things a little differently. But when I'm out on the swim, and it was in the Gulf of Mexico, I'm with 2,500 other athletes, and they don't know that I'm paralyzed in the swim.
They don't care.
They don't care. You can't tell the difference. I can tell you, folks didn't care that I was swimming out here this morning either. They couldn't tell. But obviously, when I'm on my hand cycle or my racing wheelchair, it's obvious to see the physical disability. But that was when I knew I was back, and you touched on it. I mean, I try to live life through the windshield and not the rearview mirror, and let's kind of pick myself up and let's move on. I mean, bad things definitely happen, but there's people like Mark and Carlos Moleda and so many others that have proven that, we can do this just as good as we can, if not better than we did before, because my time at Ironman Florida was 13 hours and 11 minutes, which, if you recall from a few minutes ago, was better than my first Ironman time as an able-bodied athlete. So,
so when you found out you were coming here, because you, as an able-bodied guy, you wanted to come here.
Absolutely.
Never had the opportunity.
I missed it by less than 2 minutes in Ironman New York.
Oh.
So, yeah. So transition time, I mean, everything just a little bit more, and I would have been here back in 2012, but I think it makes it a little bit sweeter sitting here with you, in 2018.
Being on breakfast with all of our fans here.
Absolutely.
Come on now. So talk a little bit about the preparation for this, because this is a different beast than any other. The wind is a big issue for you guys, and for everybody, but especially in a hand cycle.
Yeah, so, obviously for me, being paralyzed at the chest down, and, there's other physical elements that, that I'm dealt with and, have to challenge with. So, everything's just a little bit more difficult than in the past. I mean, the swimming, I can't rotate as much as I can, obviously not using my legs, but being out here in the salt water helps a little bit with buoyancy, so that should be a good swim. And yesterday we swam, and, I mean, I'm grinning, ear to ear. I mean, I'm looking at the fish, and I'm just having a great time. I mean, how could you not? But, for the bike on the hand cycle, I mean, it's definitely going to be a challenge. I mean, the wind, I mean, I have, some deep wills, but it's something where I've been training for such a long time, and I do think that having the prior experience, having raced Ironman, mentally, I did 5 as an able-bodied athlete, and then, a full, in Florida last year. And so I kind of knew mentally how to prep to go into it. And, I have the same coach that I used before. So working with the power meter on my bike, I mean, that's how I train. So, it's been a good opportunity for me, getting outside, and we rode the Queen K yesterday. And
did ya?
It was fantastic. I had a great time. It was hot, but it was a lot of fun.
So do you have to do more hydration than before?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, because I'm going to be out there for 7.5, 8 hours.
Right.
And I'm working pretty hard, but obviously my center of gravity is a little bit different, but and I'm using only my arms, but it's going to be fantastic.
The big key is getting through the bike cutoff time, right? 5:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You get through that with the racing chair, you should be golden.
Oh, I'll be golden until I hit my friend Palani over there.
Yeah.
But but I think that's for everybody else as well. So, but yeah, I mean, the challenge for me on that is, I'm limited by my center of gravity. Not to get too technical, but I have to go up backwards.
Right.
I can't go up, forwards, or else I'll tip back. So I'll just spin around, and my incredible friends that traveled all the way here to support me, that are sitting out here today, will be there, cheering me on and getting me up the hill. So it's going to be great.
The best thing is nobody else has an ocean view when they go up Palani, but you will, right?
That's a glass half full. Absolutely.
Always half full.
Always
you and
is.
I,
Yep,
baby.
absolutely.
Always.
Yep.
What has the foundation meant to you? What has CF meant?
Oh man, it's been incredible. I mean, it set literally the foundation that, I mean, anything is possible. I mean, to be able to turn around and help me and get support, and not only multi-sport aside, which has changed my life dramatically, but it's everyday life. It's the same people that I'm leaning on for getting ready for Ironman Kona, but that have told me and shared with me just stories about getting around and driving and showering and just the things that I need functionally to be the person I need to be, right? Which has been really kind of the most important. And the individuals that I've met through the foundation and the friendships I've developed has really meant everything to me. And it's putting me in a place where, not that I'm back, but I'm back. Like, this is me. This is my life. Crossing the finish line with the help of the foundation, and then being able to see kids that have grown up in the foundation, and people that have newly been injured. I've met with a couple. One was someone from my work whose son was recently injured, and I said one of the things that I can absolutely 100% attest to is what the foundation has meant to me. And I know when the time is right for other people that you got to check it out, because I mean, there's 95 other sports that we funded this year, and there's something for everybody. And when the time is right, you got to do it, because I know it works for me, and I know it'll work for other people as well.
And when I tell people that we've now sent out over 23,000 grants, and this last year 2,806 grants, 95 sports, $4.3 million, and all of that's because people underestimate the power of sport. And you're a living, breathing example of the power of sport. Right,
which I think is why it's really important for me to share my story and share my message and let other people know that, I mean, bad things do happen. And you could have been born with something. It could have been an accident like myself. But you're not the only one to go through these things. And there's an incredible network of people and friends that are here to help you oversee things and help you live the fullest life you possibly can.
What's the feeling going to be like coming across that finish line?
Oh, man, it's going to mean I'm back. It's going to mean, it's going to mean the world. I mean, I've thought about that question and how I would respond. And, since I've been on the island, I mean, it's exceeded all expectations so far. So I can imagine that's the same thing that's going to happen when I cross the iconic finish line on Saturday.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Glenn Hartrick.
Sing sha na 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 doobity ba 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 doobity ba sha na 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 doobity ba skiddly ba 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 doobity ba 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 doobity ba sha na 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 doobity ba It's Breakfast with Bob. Chee-hoo.
Ancho.